Greetings, one and all, and welcome to episode number 59 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. Your boy Stony is back for the 59th time, and I'd like to welcome all my fellow lowlifes, hoodlums, cheats, hustlers, scumbags, fienders, degenerates, and, by viewer request, criminals, perverts, horn dogs, virgins, jagoffs, jihadists, altar boys, and Catholics who have peculiar relationships with their priests. You know who I'm talking about, Cruz, Donnie, Maddie, all you guys. I understand. I don't get it, but I understand. I'll give that to you. You have your priest over for dinner, gets a little handsy, whatever. That's you. Anyway, the reason you're all back for the 59th time is because I continue to make you money. Last week I didn't. We went 13 and 12. All right, here's the thing. Started out 0 and 5. Miserable start. Got hot in the afternoon and played the balance game down the stretch. Wound up 13 and 12, which isn't bad considering I started 0 and 5. Right? That's 13 and 7 after the 0 and 5 start. But you take them all into consideration. It's a losing week, but if that's a losing week, I'll take that every single time, because that was our first losing week in 9 or 10 weeks. It would have been the 10th straight winning week. It was our first losing week in 10 weeks. But again, the numbers still add up, right? 13 and 12 last week, 147 wins and 95 losses in college basketball this season. That's 60.74%. Add them all up to the NFL playoffs, the NFL regular season, the college bowl games, NCAA football, and Major League Baseball. Grand total, 494 wins, 319 losses, and 2 ties. That's good for 60.76%. I dare anybody to come close. That's 800 selections that I've given you for free, not on a recorded line, and not with a guarantee of if I lose, the next 5 are free. No. These are all free that I've given you, right? And hitting at 60%. Nobody can do that. Nobody, period. Anybody. Nobody has the balls to do it. Now, again, every now and then I have to give a quick little course refresher. I give you 25 selections a week. I don't expect you to bet every single one of them. I do, but I don't expect you to. Now, do your own research. Pick out the games you like. If they match up with mine, bam, hit it and hit it hard. That's how you do it. That's like my boy Vinny B. He does that all the time in one of his many trips over the hill to Tahoe or Reno. But again, 25 picks is a lot. If you're gonna ride the waves with us, you gotta expect to crash every now and then, right? We don't crash, right? We might slip off, but we don't crash. We get back on and we go hard the next time. So week number 26. Season 2, episode 26 of this season. 26 straight weeks we've been giving you picks. Now, quick little programming notes coming up. We have tournament week, which is a 2-week stretch starting at the beginning of March. That's next week. So next Saturday or next Friday, I'll give you another video. And then the following week, I might give you another one during the week. I'm going to have to check the schedules and see what's going on. But you might get 2 per week during conference tournament week, because they're weeks. Then when the NCAA tournament starts in the middle of March, there will be two a week. So that's what we're going to go with, all right? So be on the lookout. Hit subscribe right here down in the lower right-hand corner, right this way. When a new video goes up, you'll be notified and you'll be right on it. And look at that. For the 3rd consecutive week, Donnie O, the bearded one from Florida, is calling me right in the middle of my broadcast. Always. Never fails. Dio, your timing is horrendous. You know what I do every Friday night, but yet there you are calling me again. Anyway, okay. Before we get to the picks, a couple random thoughts, right? A couple of newsworthy sports stories. Number one, I will not mention the quarterback from Green Bay. Won't do it. I will not mention the basketball team from Los Angeles, and I ain't talking about the Clippers. I will not mention the new point guard in Philadelphia. These seem to be all anybody wants to talk about. Going back to the quarterback in Green Bay, football news in February is an oxymoron. There shouldn't be any. There isn't any. Unless your name's Tom Brady and you just retired. That's the only news that should ever come out in February pertaining to football. In March, if you want to talk about the combine, fine. Otherwise, don't go on Sports Grid and talk to the guy who wears the tank top. You know who I'm talking about. Because he's the only guy you'll talk to, and you talk to him every Tuesday. Don't go on his show and say, I haven't made up my mind yet. So the top news story of the day is, you haven't made up your mind. No news is the top news. Really? It's a sad world we live in. It really is. With Ukraine and Russia and the Green Bay quarterback and the tank top fella from Sports Grid Radio. Unbelievable. All right. Couple things I wanted to touch on. Major League Baseball, it doesn't look like they're going to reach a settlement by Monday, so it looks like we're going to start missing games. Depends on how long, because when they do finally reach an agreement, they're still going to have to take a month for spring training. So Major League Baseball is screwed right now. They are really screwed, and they're in a really bad position because they're not even close to a settlement right now. But here's what I wanted to discuss. We were talking about it at work today, and it came up, nicknames. The best nicknames, the greatest nicknames. Speaking of the greatest, Muhammad Ali, okay? He dubbed himself the greatest in the ring when he knocked out Sonny Liston, okay? Not a lot of people argue with that. That's fine, right? I'm not usually one for people giving themselves nicknames, but in that case, I will absolutely make an exception. Ali was the greatest. He deserves to be called the greatest. Nobody else has been called the greatest. Now, there is the Great One. We all know who the Great One is. That's a fantastic nickname. And you know exactly who I'm talking about, Wayne. Great nickname. Kings. Okay? Who is the king? Elvis? Okay, I'll give you that. In sports, LeBron James, when he put the tattoo on his shoulder with the crown and called himself King James, nicknamed himself that. The Seattle fans named Felix Hernandez King Felix. But when I think of the king in sports, it's Arnold Palmer. Arnie's always been the king. If you grew up with nicknames that parents gave you and they just stuck, Babe, Tiger, Magic, okay, we know who those guys are, right? I have no problems with those. But then you got names like the Hammer, right? The Rocket, right? Now, there's a couple Rockets. It could be Ismail. It could be Rocket Richard, Maurice Richard. It could be Roger Clemens, the Rocket, right? The Hammer, Hank. Love it. Great nickname. Hammer and Hank. The Mailman. Great nickname. Why was Karl Malone the Mailman? Because he always delivered. Dr. J. Julius Irving. The doctor's in session. And he's operating on defense. Operating on defenses. Another great nickname. Iceman, George Gervin. Great nickname. Stone Cold Ice. That was the Iceman. And my favorite one of all time, my favorite nickname ever created, not exactly sure who gave it, but it was never more true. Before I get to that, I always wondered why Michael Jordan never really had a nickname. I mean, okay, Air Jordan, but that was the name of his shoe, right? I mean, how many people called him Michael Air Jordan? Not a lot of people, right? When you talked about Air Jordan, you talked about the shoes. But Michael never really had a nickname, right? His contemporaries did. Sir Charles, Larry Legend, the Mailman, right? All those guys. They had nicknames. And that was cool. That was great. But Michael never really had one. Anyway, my favorite nickname of all time, the Human Highlight Film. Fantastic. If you have other nicknames that you like, go ahead. Feel free to comment. Leave them in the comments box. I know a certain Italian from the Bay Area is going to bring up Iron Mike because that's all he ever talks about, him or Sly Stallone. Maddie, what are you going to do? Just give your priest a call and invite him over for dinner, all right? So that's it. I just wanted to talk about nicknames. For some reason, we were talking about them at work today and, you know, who had the best ones and which ones you liked. To me, the Human Highlight Film or the Human Highlight Reel. Not sure if it was the film or the reel, but either way, it fit, and Neek was all that. So anyway, let's move on. Here we go. Let's get to our picks. We're going to do them pretty quickly today. We got 24 of them. And Donnie O just sent me a picture. All right. First, he tried to call me in the middle of my video. Now he's sending me pictures. I don't know what the picture is. I'll have to look at it when I'm done. But Dio, between the hours of 9 and midnight every Friday night, just, you know, wait till Saturday. But I'll call you while this video's uploading, and you won't answer like the last 2 weeks. Anyway, here we go. We'll move on to our picks. All right, we're going to start at noon tomorrow. The Big Ten, the Breslin Center, East Lansing, Michigan. Good matchup right off the bat. 18-9 Michigan State is hosting 4th-ranked 24-4 Purdue. Now, Purdue is legit. All right, they're 3-point favorites. They come in. They've won 3 in a row. They've won 9 out of 10. They're seeking their first. They're in first place in the Big Ten, and a win. They're going to win the Big Ten, right? Let's just get that over with, right? It's going to take a spectacular fail from them, and a lot of help for Wisconsin or for other teams to sneak in there and steal it from them. But I don't see it happening. Purdue's going to win the Big Ten, and Jaden Ivey is the guy. Jaden Ivey is the top 5 pick, right? He's right up there with Chet Holmgren and Paulo Banchero and Jabari Smith, right? And throw Jaden Ivey in there. Those will probably be your top 4 picks right there in the draft next year. Holmgren will go number 1. Smith will go number 2. Banchero will go number 3. Jaden Ivey will go number 4. Jaden Ivey's the only little man. Well, little man, relatively speaking to the other guys. Anyway, Jaden Ivey's a pimp. All he does is score. He leads the team into the Breslin Center, which is a place they've had a lot of trouble in over the years, because for obvious reasons. Michigan State started the season 14-2 and 5-0 in conference, but since then they've lost 7 of 11, right, including 4 of their last 5, and now they're on the bubble, right? Keep in mind, last year they were the first 4 in, right? So they went in the first 4 and they lost to UCLA in that first 4 game in overtime, which was a great game. But Michigan State is falling on hard times right now, and but I like them here, right? This is a good spot for them. They're at home. They know that this is a marquee win, and this will take them off the bubble and maybe put them in like the last 4 in. Joey Brackets, Joe Lenardi. Any of you guys keeping up and watching Joey Brackets? Love him. I was watching UCLA game last night. Him and Bill Walton were arguing because Bill Walton is all about the Conference of Champions and how 8 teams should go in. I love Bill, but come on. Little homerism there. Pac-12 will get 4 in. That's it. No more. Anyway, Michigan State +3. That's your first selection of the week. And let's move on to the Big 12, noon Eastern time, the Lloyd Noble Center in Norman, Oklahoma. This is Bedlam, the basketball series. 14-4 Oklahoma is at home, and they're hosting Oklahoma State, who comes in at 13-14. I like Okie State in this one. Oklahoma's lost 4 straight. OSU beat them by 9 back at the beginning of February, back in Stillwater. But Oklahoma State has flip-flopped their last 6, win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1, right? And they lost to Baylor the other night, but they got the cover, and they shocked the hell out, or they put the fear of God into Baylor. They only lost by 2. Great game, by the way, for any that were watching. I like Oklahoma State here. I'm going to take the points at home. 1 p.m. Eastern time, Big East, the Fiserv Forum, Milwaukee. Yes, indeedy. Marquette, 17-10, 8.5-point favorites over 13-16 Butler. Butler's lost 3 in a row and 5 out of 7. Marquette got off to a hot start, but they've struggled lately. They've lost 3 out of 4. They've lost a little momentum. They need to get that back so they can finish strong and jump into the dance with a strong showing in the Big East tournament. I'm going to take Marquette. I'm going to lay the 8.5. I know that's a big number to be laying in conference play this late in the season, but I like Marquette. They're playing better, and Butler just, they can't seem to find their footing. 1 p.m. Eastern time, SEC action at Humphrey Coliseum down in Starkville. This one's a 16-12. Mississippi State is 6.5-point favorites against 14-13 Vanderbilt. Mississippi State, and I'm a big Ben Howland guy and a big believer in Iverson Molinar and the defense that they play, but they've lost 3 out of 5. Now, those 2 wins during that 5-game stretch were both against Missouri, and Missouri's not very good, right? Vanderbilt, on the other hand, they've lost 3 out of 4, but they keep covering for some reason, and Scottie Pippen Jr. right now is playing out of his mind. He scored 20-plus points in 4 straight games. He's a nightmare to defend. Him and Molinar are going to have a great battle. And I think Mississippi State wins, but Vandy covers. Give me the Doors, plus 6.5. 2 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to stay in the SEC. Bud Walton Arena, Arkansas. That's right, Fayetteville. Big matchup. One of the marquee matchups of the day. And this is the second best matchup in the SEC alone, right? 18th ranked Arkansas is 2-point favorites. They're 22-6, and they're hosting 23-5 and 6th ranked Kentucky. UK is it. UK is the talk of the sports world. This is one of the oldest teams that John Calipari's ever had in Lexington, but today he's without a starting backcourt, right? Ty Washington's out, Severe Wheeler's out, right? And they were both out the other night, and that was still enough to beat LSU, but it's LSU. Everybody beats them, and everybody makes them look like fools, and everybody makes their fans look like fools. But I like Kentucky. I do. I like Kentucky a lot, and I think they can go far in the tournament, but I don't like them here. In Arkansas, Arkansas is one of the hottest teams in the nation. They've won 3 in a row. They've won 12 out of 13. Eric Musselman, Donnie O's boy, Emus, has it going on. And it all starts with point guard J.D. Notae. He's been out of his mind right now. He's averaging close to 20 per. And I like Arkansas. I think they're going to get it done. And Notae is going to carve up Kentucky's backcourt, especially without Washington and Wheeler in the lineup. So give me the Hogs -2. I was going to say 2.5, but no, it's 2. 2 p.m. Eastern Time ACC action. PNC Arena in Raleigh. You got Carolina versus NC State. Carolina comes in at 20-8. They're 4.5-point chalk over the 11-17 Wolfpack. NC State's lost 4 out of 5. They're a mess right now. Carolina's won 4 out of 5. I don't think they're a tournament team, but everybody else, Joey Brackets and everyone else seems to think that they're in right now. If the season ended today, that they're in. But a bad loss would not help, and this would be a bad loss. Not going to happen here. Give me the heels, lay the 4.5. 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Big 12 action, Morgantown, West Virginia. The Huggy Bear is absolutely frustrated. West Virginia is now 14-14. They're hosting 20-8 Texas. Texas comes in as 2-point chalk on the road. West Virginia's lost 5 in a row and 12 out of 13. Never seen the Huggy Bear so frustrated right now. He just can't seem to get any type of cohesion with that team. They're not playing well defensively, which is his hallmark. Texas, on the other hand, they've won 5 out of 7. They're playing for positioning right now and seeding in the Big 12 tournament, ultimately the big dance. I like Texas on the road, -2. 3 p.m. Eastern Time, ACC action. 20-8 Miami at home at the Watsco Center in Miami. They're 1-point favorites over 17-11 Va Tech. Right, both teams have won 4 out of 5. A couple weeks ago, Miami beat Va Tech with a half-court buzzer beater in Blacksburg, so Virginia Tech is looking for some payback. But Miami right now, with that 3-guard rotation that Laurinega has going on, it's the best 3-guard rotation in the ACC, and I like the Canes. I'm going to take them at home, only 1 point, lay it. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, SEC action at the Pavilion in Oxford. You've got Ole Miss, 2.5-point favorites. They're 13-15, and they're hosting Texas A&M, who comes in at 17-11. Ole Miss has lost 4 out of 5. A&M's not doing that much better, but they've won 3 out of 5. Give me A&M plus the 2.5 on the road in Oxford. 3:30 p.m. Big East action at the Cintas Center in Stony Natty. This one should be a good matchup too. Xavier, 17-10, 3.5-point favorites over Seton Hall, who's 17-9. Xavier's lost 3 straight and 4 out of 5. The problem for them, they lost just the other night, Thursday night, in triple overtime, or on Wednesday, triple that carried on into Thursday. Triple overtime game to Providence. And they are back home here, and they're 3.5-point favorites, but Seton Hall is tough. And I like the Pirates here. They've won 3 out of 5. Give me the Pirates plus 3.5. You want to take a flyer and take them on the money line? By all means, fire away. 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to go back to the SEC, Thompson Bowling Arena, in another, the biggest matchup of the day in the SEC. You've got 17th ranked Tennessee is 3.5-point favorites. They're 20-7, and they're 3.5-point favorites over 25-3 and 3rd ranked Auburn. Yes, I just said Jabari Smith will probably be the number 2 player in the draft, taken behind Holmgren. Holmgren has to go number 1. I know you all hate him, and oh, he's so skinny, and look at his legs, and he can break his legs. He dominates. He dribbles and he dunks on people right in their faces. And he's 5-6 blocks a game, Chet Holmgren. But Jabari Smith is the man, right? And you couple him with Walker Kerr in that front court, and that front court is a monster. It's a battle of the front court versus the back court, because Tennessee right now, they've won 4 out of 5. Kennedy Chandler right now is getting it done. He transferred over from North Carolina, where he wasn't getting much playing time. And he's thriving right now under Rick Barnes up in Knoxville. And I like Tennessee. I'm going to lay the 3.5. Tennessee's 3.5-point favorites over 3rd-ranked Auburn. Everybody's going to see that. They're going to jump on Auburn. Tennessee's going to roll, and the books are going to get paid. 5 p.m. Eastern Time, ACC action at the Joyce Center in South Bend. You've got 20-8 Notre Dame, who's 10-point favorites over Georgia Tech, who comes in at 11-17. Tech has lost 5 out of 6. Notre Dame is a very, very, very underrated team. They're playing really well. They've won 6 out of 7. They're right on Duke's heels for the top spot in the ACC. I like Notre Dame. I'm going to lay the 10 here and just watch them tap dance all over Georgia Tech and make this one look easy. 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Big Ten action at the Rack in Piscataway. 22-5 and 13th ranked Wisconsin comes to town to face 16-11 Rutgers. Rutgers somehow is a 2.5-point favorite, right? Rutgers is, they're pretty amazing, right? What they've done. Uh, they lost, uh, or hold on, I'm trying to get my notes here, and I know they've won four wins over the top 25 uh, in the last 2 weeks, but they've lost their last two, right? They did beat Madison or Wisconsin in Madison a couple weeks ago, 75-68, and that kind of kick-started their run through all these top 25 teams they keep knocking off. That's why they're 2.5-point favorites. Wisconsin, on the other hand, they're tied with Purdue for first in the Big Ten, right? But Purdue has the inside track, right? They're going to meet on Tuesday, Wisconsin and Purdue, and that's going to be the game that decides the Big Ten. Wisconsin cannot afford to lose this game. They're going to come in hot. They're going to go hard, and they're going to beat Rutgers. Give me Wisconsin on the money line, but if you want to take the 2.5, by all means, go ahead. 6 p.m. Eastern Time ACC action at the Carrier Dome up in Syracuse. 24-4, 7th-ranked Duke is 7-point chalk on the road against 15-13 Syracuse. Syracuse has won 3 out of 5. Duke's won 10 out of 11. They're one game up over Notre Dame, right? But the story of this game is the number 1 and number 2 coaches in wins of all time, right? Probably meeting for the last time. Coach K and Jimmy Boeheim have been friends for a long time, and they'll be friends when they're 170 years old because neither one of them is going to die, right? They'll probably, Boeheim will still be coaching. I don't know about Krzyzewski. I mean, he says he's leaving and he's turning it over to Shire, but he's keeping his office and he's going to keep a close eye on I don't understand. I just don't get it. Anyway, I do understand that Duke is playing much better. And in Coach K's final act at the Carrier Dome, Duke's going to win, and Duke's going to win easily, and they're going to cover the 7. 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Big 12 action. Fort Worth, Texas. 22-6 and 9th-ranked Texas Tech comes in as 5-point chalk over 17-9 TCU. TCU got off to that hot start, but since then they've dropped 4 out of 5. Texas Tech seems to have all pistons firing right now. They're playing for positioning, right? They want to be right there in the Big 12 championship game versus Kansas so they can, battle it out and, see who's got the bigger dong. Texas Tech is 5-point favorites here. Davion Williams right now is playing like a monster in the backcourt, and I like the Raiders. I'm going to lay 5 on the road against TCU. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Big 12 action at the Farrell Center down in Waco. Another good matchup. I mean, sorry for those other 2 SEC matchups. This is the matchup of the day. You got 23-4, 5th-ranked Kansas heading down to Waco to take on 23-5, 10th-ranked Baylor. Baylor's 3.5-point chalk, right? Baylor's won 4 out of 5. Kansas won 5 out of 6. They're looking for their 20th Big 12 title, which is just stupid. But in order to do it, they're going to have to beat the defending conference champions and national champions. And Baylor right now is playing every bit of it. And Baylor and Kansas, right, you got 3 Big 12 teams in the top 10, right? I just told you about Texas Tech. So you throw those 3 teams together, and the Big 12 tournament is going to be awesome. But so is this game tomorrow, right? I like Kansas plus 3.5. I just find it hard to believe that anybody in the country not named Gonzaga should be a 3.5-point favorite over Kansas. Give me the Jayhawks all day long plus the 3.5. If they lose, so be it. But I'd rather lose with Kansas than against Kansas. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Pac-12 action, right? Up in Boulder. You've got 2nd-ranked Arizona coming in. They're 25-2, and they're 10.5-point favorites over Colorado, who's 18-10. Zona has won 9 in a row. They're cruising. They're going to just cruise to the Pac-12 championship, which they pretty much got sewn up, and they're going to win it tomorrow. Colorado, on the other hand, they've won 5 in a row now, or they won 5 in a row until a really bad loss, a head-scratching loss to Arizona State the other night. Nobody should be losing to Arizona State. Well, Colorado did. Look for them to bounce back with a stronger showing here. Arizona wins, and wins rather easily, but doesn't cover the 10.5. I like the Buffs. Ralphie. Go Ralphie. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we stay in the Pac-12. The big game, Stanford versus Cal. Haas Pavilion in Berkeley. Cal's lost 4 out of 5. Stanford's lost 4 out of 5. They're two teams that are bad, but I like Stanford in this situation because they're playing Cal. So why wouldn't you take Stanford? Lay the 1.5. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, SEC action. The Maravich Center down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I emphasize Louisiana. 19-9 LSU, seeing their NCAA tournament hopes just dying every single day, more and more, and they just can't seem to get things together. They've won 2 in a row, or they had won 2 in a row until a string of bad losses came. They had 5 straight losses against the spread on Saturday. And how do I know this? Because I've I bet against LSU 5 straight weeks as my lock of the week, and it keeps hitting. Last week they were favorites over South Carolina. South Carolina beats them outright. Right? How'd that feel, Willis McGahee? Yeah, it doesn't work, does it? Yeah. Still crickets. Nothing. I'm not hearing any words about how my lock of the week has been rendered useless. Missouri comes in. They're 10-18. They're an awful team, and they're getting 13.5. They've lost 4 in a row. Missouri's a total train wreck. But can I take LSU in this situation? Oh, I guess not. The answer is no. I cannot and will not take LSU in this spot. Lock of the week, 6th straight week, Missouri plus 13.5. There's your guaranteed winner. Moving on, 8:30 p.m., Big East, the Dunkin' Donuts Center up in Providence. Another good matchup. 11th ranked Providence is 23-3. They're 5.5 point chalk over 19-8 Creighton. Providence, with a win, will clinch their first Big East title ever. Think about that for a minute. That'd be impressive. I mean, the Big East over its history with the classic teams, it's been Villanova the last 15 years, but before that it was Georgetown, it was Syracuse, it was St. John's, it was Connecticut, right? It was everybody but Providence. Well, now Providence has their chance. This is their chance to win it, and they will win, right? But can they cover the 5.5 against a Creighton team right now, which has they've won 5 in a row? Freshman point guard Ryan Nembhard, the brother of Andrew Nembhard up in Gonzaga, he's out, right? So he will not be playing tomorrow. But Creighton right now is playing out of their minds. They've got their record up to 19-8. They've ripped off 5 straight. I'm going to take the Blue Jays plus the 5.5 on the road in Providence, even though Providence wins their first Big East championship, regular season title, I should say. 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Pac-12 action. Oregon versus USC at the Matthew Knight Arena up in Eugene. 24-4 USC, ranked 16th. Oregon is 18-10, right? And they're 3.5 point favorites. Why? Because they just knocked off UCLA on Thursday night. They don't need this win to get into the tournament, but it sure will help. If you can beat USC and UCLA, 2 ranked teams, within 2 days of each other, that's huge. And that'll wake up a lot of Joe Lunardi's cronies. USC's won 5 in a row. Oregon has lost 3 out of 5, but one of those wins was just the other day against UCLA. I like Oregon here. I'm going to lay the 3.5 against SC. 10 p.m. Eastern Time, WCC action, McKeon Pavilion in Moraga. What a way to end the regular season in the WCC, the 2 best teams. Top-ranked 24-2 Gonzaga comes in as 11.5 point favorites over 23-6 and 23rd ranked St. Mary's. St. Mary's has played well. They're having a great year, right? But the problem with St. Mary's, right, Gonzaga has won 17 straight, right? They've won 7 straight in the series. They're 22-4 in their last 26 versus St. Mary's, right? St. Mary's has won 17 in a row at McKeon Pavilion. Their last loss, Gonzaga, last year, right? Give me Gonzaga, lay the 11.5. I like St. Mary's. I like St. Mary's a lot, but not here. Gonzaga rolls, makes it look easy, and puts their stamp on another undefeated WCC season. 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Pac-12 action. The Huntsman Center, Salt Lake Stony, Utah. 11-7 Utah's 2.5-point favorites over 11-16 ASU. ASU was miserable a month ago. All of a sudden, for some reason, they started winning. It's far too little too late. They're not going anywhere, but they have won 4 out of 5 for some strange reason. Utah's lost 3 out of 5. Utah's 2.5-point favorites. Give me Utah minus 2.5. Finally, the degenerate special of the week, which I hit last week, taking BYU over St. Mary's. They got the cover. They didn't win, but they got the cover. Midnight Eastern Time, Stan Sheriff Center in Stony Lulu, Hawaii, on the Big Island. Hawaii's 14-9. They're 5.5-point favorites over 7-15 Cal State Bakersfield. Bakersfield had lost 5 in a row until they won on Thursday. Hawaii, on the other hand, has won 3 out of 4. They're always tough at home. Give me the Rainbow Warriors, minus 5.5. There's your 24 picks for the week. I want to hit at least 14 of them. 15 would be better. 16 would be awesome. That's what I'm shooting for. But 14 puts us in the win column. So just remember that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. To me, the action is the juice. Scared money don't make money. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored, and good luck to you.